In this video, we're going to take a look at how to build sweeps with guide rails. Now, the sweep command is a pretty awesome tool. You can take a path and a profile, and it can be complex, and it can help you create some really fantastic shapes without having to do too much work with creating additional extrusions or revolves. It blends geometry very uniformly together, which is very nice. So what we're going to take a look at here is a different option to the sweep called guide rail. Now, when I start with the sweep guide rail IPT from our working files directory, I'm going to begin the sweep command. My profile is already pre-selected because it's the only closed profile I have. And the path I'm going to choose will be this sketch here. Now, this is just a straight line. So it looks very similar to an extrusion, but I'm sweeping this path along this profile. However, I want to make a modification to this. So on the type pull down in my dialog box, I'm going to choose guide rail. Now, before I select the guide rail, which will be this top spline that you see there, that green spline, let's talk a little bit about what it does. When I have a guide rail going along my path of my sweep, it's going to help control the X and Y scaling of that sweep as it takes place. I can also tell it to only do the X scaling or no scaling at all, which in this particular case, if I did no scaling, it would be like I didn't choose a guide rail at all. I'm going to go ahead and choose this sketch up here. This is a third sketch that was created. So I have essentially for this 3 sketches: path, profile, and guide rail. There you can see the X and Y scaling. If I change it just to X, you can see it kind of narrows out in the middle, but keeps the height. And if I choose none, it's like nothing ever happened. So I'm going to keep the X and Y profile scaling. Here I'll choose OK. And there's my initial sweep with a guide rail. Now, we can build this in 3-dimensional sweeps as well. We don't have to do this only on 2-dimensional. So over here on my end of part marker, I'm going to roll this down so I can see some more geometry I have inside this file. And I'm going to create a 3D sketch to help me create an intersection curve between these 2 surfaces. So I'll start my intersection curve command, grab this surface, and choose OK. And that's the only thing I need the 3D sketch for. I'm not going to do anything else. So I'll go ahead and finish my 3D sketch. And I'll turn off the visibility of these 2 surfaces because I only needed them for that construction. And what I have here now is a 3D sketch that breaks in the X, Y, and Z direction. Now, inside of this body, I actually have another sketch, which is the sketch 7. Sketch 7 is kind of a oblong type of spline profile. And I'm going to sweep that, with it being pre-selected there, along this new path I have, this intersection curve path. Now for the guide rail on this, I actually have 2 additional sketches out here, and we'll kind of play with each one of these 2. So first I'll choose the path and guide rail, and I'll go back and choose this one here. You can see how that kind of makes the shape grow out a little bit as it sweeps down through there. If I go back and deselect that one, and instead select the spline, which is just a interpolation spline, could be any type of spline, you can see it creates a nice kind of ergonomic looking handle on there based on how that scaling is taking place as it goes through that sweep transition. Here I'll choose OK. And we can see our finished product. Who knew sweeps were so awesome, right? So we can do some really basic stuff with this, or we can do some more advanced things with our sweep command by using this guide rail option.